Hey guys, how y'all doing today? My name is Franchise Fanatic and welcome back to the channel. And today what I have for you guys is the third installment of the Evil Dead franchise. Of course, we're talking about Evil Dead 3 or Army of Darkness. Now, I've already covered the Evil Dead 1 and Evil Dead 2. Essentially, this is going to be my Evil Dead 3 review. However, I did go to the exchange today and I did pick up the Evil Dead, or Ash vs. Evil Dead Blu-ray TV show. So there's Season 1. There's Season 2, and then here's Season 3. So if you have seen it, do not spoil it. I'm pretty sure it takes place in the same canon, so I'm very much looking forward to watching that, reviewing it, so don't worry. But, you know, this is very much a horror franchise. I bought the first one, and I'm like, you know, this is going to be freaking dumb, but, you know, it's $6 or whatever. And then I watched it, I'm like, wow, that was actually pretty cool. And then I watched Evil Dead 2, I'm like, that was pretty good. And then I watched, of course, Army of Darkness this morning, and it's okay. This is definitely the, I think, worst out of the three. And when I say worst, I don't mean this is a bad film. It's just that this is a good trilogy. You know, people will say this about the Star Wars sequels. I disagree, but, you know, they say, oh, well, the Star Wars sequels, they're good movies individually, but they're a bad trilogy. I disagree. I think it flows perfectly if you have a freaking brain cell that's working. But this very much is a trilogy that it's all in the same can. Like, you know, when Evil Dead 1 ends, Evil Dead 2 literally takes place right after. When Evil Dead 2 ends, Army of Darkness, Evil Dead 3 happens literally right after, you know, when he's in the medieval era and all that, you know, 1380, whatever. And it's a good movie. It's just the first one is so, you know, it's a horror film straight, you know, through and through. But because it was made for cheap and it was like the freaking 1981, it's a little corny, a little silly. But it's supposed to be taken seriously, you know what I mean? You're not supposed to laugh at it. Evil Dead 2 is a mix of horror and a little bit of comedy. And, you know, you are supposed to laugh at it a little bit because it's you know, it's a horror comedy, so it's both things. And then Army of Darkness, Evil Dead 3, is literally a straight-up action comedy. There really isn't any horror elements to this third film. That doesn't mean it's a bad movie, it's just not really a great horror film. There's a few jump scares, you know, some of the Deadites look kind of scary, I guess, but, you know, the Evil Dead 1 is very creepy. I wouldn't say it's scary. Like, I didn't get scared by anything in this trilogy. That doesn't mean it's bad, I just didn't get scared. Evil Dead 2, a little creepy, a little funny. This is basically just a poop ton of funny. And most of the comedy works. It really much is like Evil Dead R-rated violence, which is mixed with, you know, Laurel and Hardy, Tom and Jerry hijinks, you know. And that's the thing. It works, but it also doesn't. It's kind of suffering from an identity crisis because on the one hand, it's R-rated for violence and horror or whatever, but there's barely any blood. There is blood, but it's nowhere near as gory as 1 and 2. And that's kind of strange. You know, apparently Sam Raimi was like, oh, we're going to shoot for a PG-13, which is completely stupid because why would you make 2 R-rated movies and then make the third and final one effing PG-13? That makes no sense, but what do I know? Of course, it still did get an R rating, so that was completely fruitless, I guess, but like I said, there's barely any blood. I think there's only like 1 or 2 F words. There's no sex, no drugs, really, no drinking. So it's kind of a cleaner movie. It's not clean, you know, it's not G. It's still R-rated, but it's compared to the first two a little more sanitized. And I don't have a problem with that. It just kind of doesn't fit, you know. Same thing with, like, you know, Evil Dead 2 is very much about horror and comedy. It was a mix of both. This one is straight up just kind of comedy, and it's got a lot of action, medieval, you know, Middle-earth style battles, which are filmed great. You know, the movie is still filmed well. It's still shot well. It's not as inventive as 1 and 2. Evil Dead 1, every shot was oozing with, you know, emotion and, you know, fervor and love. Evil Dead 2 had, you know, good transitions. This one, it's not really anything in that. You know, the transitions are okay. The shooting is okay, you know, how it's shot. Nothing about this movie stands out as, wow, that was creative. And I guess the plot is creative, you know, that it picks up right after Evil Dead 2 where Ash is in the medieval times, and that's all cool. But, like I said, it's kind of in like this weird-ass, like, no man's land, you know? It's like, is this straight-up comedy? Is it action? Is it horror? You know, do you want it to be a PG-13? Do you want it to be an R rating? It just doesn't really fit, and I don't think the film really knows what it wants to be. But what we end up getting, which is a lot of comedy, most of the comedy does land. A lot of it is slapstick, you know, where skeletons are like poking Ash in the face and, you know, like Ash grows a separate version of himself and they're fighting, you know, and he's like, you know, that kind of thing. Ash at one point like breaks a window into little tiny chunks of glass. And in the tiny chunks of glass, little mini Ashes come out and they're, you know, effing with him and poking him with forks. You know, it's all well and good. It's all funny stuff, and it's kind of weird because it's almost like Lego humor, you know, like that big, you know, Deadite battle at the end with the skeletons, you know, they were like, oh no, yeah, you know, that kind of thing. It's got Lego humor apart from the, you know, the swear words, but again, it's a good movie, and it is cheesy, it is extremely corny, but not in a bad way. It's cheesy and corny because it knows what it wants to be. I think Evil Dead 1 being a straight-up horror film, it works as a horror film, but sometimes it can be a little goofy because of the limitations. Evil Dead 2, they went, alright, look, you know, there's no CGI yet, really. Let's just effing be a little bit of horror, a little bit of comedy. And then this one, Sam Raimi was like, alright, fuck it, you know what I mean? We're just gonna go straight comedy. Screw it. We're going balls to the wall. And it happened to be a good movie and a good move, but at the same time, like I said, we're in that kind of a middle ground of what does this movie want to be? Because it doesn't work as a straight-up horror, and it also doesn't work as a straight-up comedy because there's action elements and adventure elements, and it's kind of a mix of a bunch of different genres, really, and it kind of, at first it was like, wow, this is, like, it is a very much a drastic departure from Evil Dead 1 and 2. I mean, literally, the comedy is, like, first and foremost, you know, it's at the front center stage, and it works, and most of it's pretty funny and inventive, especially without really CGI, you know, puppets and stop motion. It's all looking pretty good. And again, some of the writing's a bit corny, some of the acting's a bit corny, but I don't really think that this was meant, you know, I mean, like the prequel trilogy, I love it. You know, all Star Wars is good. But the prequels are cheesy and corny in their dialogue at times because it was poor writing. This is cheesy and corny at times because they know what they want it to be, and they want it to be cheesy and corny. And I do think it works as, you know, kind of an end of the trilogy. It was, you know, it's not, you know, it's not Endgame, it's not The Rise of Skywalker, it's not the Snyder Cut, you know, it's not like this epic movie where you're going to go, wow, you know, that was a full thing. It's a good battle scene, Ash versus, you know, evil Ash, I guess, like the effed up looking Uruk-hai thing from, you know, it looks like Lurtz from Fellowship of the Ring, you know, but it's a good movie, you know what I mean? It's definitely my least favorite. Not all the comedy lands, it's really not scary at all. Having minimal blood is just kind of a weird thing because, you know, that's like one of the staples of Evil Dead is it's an R-rated film. Kind of strange, but I still enjoyed it. Again, even though I was a little bit in this no man's land kind of feel, I'm going to give Evil Dead 3 or Army of Darkness a B. Again, it is my least favorite of the three, but it's still a good film. It's still funny. It's still very entertaining. Alright, the battle scene in the end with Ash versus all the Deadite skeletons, it's really, really filmed well, and it looks insane. If anything, this is the most entertaining because it knows what it is, you know. The first one was horror, and it's a little goofy because they were trying too much. The second one is a bit of both, which I think Evil Dead 2 is my favorite so far. Again, I have not seen Evil Dead the remake. I'm going to be getting that hopefully for Christmas, and I do have this TV show right here I'm going to dive into in a little bit here. Not right now, not you know, not like tomorrow. I got other movies to watch, but soon I will be watching that TV show. It looks pretty fun. So again, Army of Darkness B, really enjoyed it. Again, it's my least favorite, but it's nowhere near a bad film. It's just, again, my only negatives would be, it's kind of this, you know, no man's land, like I said, of just, you know, it's an identity crisis. And that really rubbed me the wrong way, and it struck me kind of like, wow, you know, pick a genre and stick to it, you know. But what we did get in the end was a fun, entertaining film, and, you know, I think it capped off the trilogy pretty well. Cheesy, yes, corny, yes, but I still think it's a pretty fun ride. Tell me in the comments down below what you think about Evil Dead 3 or Army of Darkness. Again, soon I will be watching the Ash vs. Evil Dead show. Again, not right now, but soon. I can't wait to watch it again. Tell me in the comments what you think about Army of Darkness. What would you give it from an F to an A+? Again, I give it a B. Thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.